Hello, everybody. This is Ed Rosenberg again, and today I am speaking to Julien Letterman from Feedvisor. Julien, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You got it. Yeah, Julian Letterman. You got it.
Julien Letterman from New York City. So that's great. He's in the Manhattan office right now, and I got to tell you, Julien, I've been speaking to companies in Argentina, Cuba, all over the United States, Canada, Ireland, and I know there are a lot of companies. Something about Feedvisor being in Israel. I'm happy. I think you're actually the first Israeli company that I'm interviewing, even though you're not in Israel right now. So it's a pleasure for our audience to speak to an Israeli company. So,
It's great. Good to hear. Happy to represent. To represent the startup nation over here in the U.S.
right, okay, great. Now, Julian, can you give us a little bit about your background on Amazon and just give me a little bit of an overview first of what Feedvisor does for an Amazon seller, please?
Okay, so first thing is, as far as my background, so I'm part of the sales team here at Feedvisor. As you did mention, it is an Israeli company, but we do have an office here in New York, and we're also expanding on the West Coast out in Seattle. So I myself am a former Amazonian. So I used to work at Amazon for a few years. Prior to that, I actually worked in investment banking, worked in trading, where we actually used algorithms in the trading and in the financial markets. So which that kind of brought me to Feedvisor, which really combined a lot of those aspects. It obviously is involved in Amazon and in the e-commerce space, but it's really bringing a big data, systematic, computerized approach to doing business. And I think the way that we like to think about it is that there's tons of data in the world. We know that big data is very much a buzzword right now, but big data without the tools and the solutions to bring those numbers together, to make sense of them and have actionable decisions is nothing. And that's what Feedvisor does. We're the algo commerce company. We are applying algorithmic decision making to e-commerce.
hmm Now, first of all, what did you do in Amazon?
So I managed one of their distribution centers. So I was based out in the UK and
Wow.
managed one of their larger distribution centers. Up until the peak season, we would ship about 430,000 units a day.
Wow. That's
So
pretty cool. Ex-Amazonians are hot these days. That's pretty cool.
So we actually have a few. We've hired a few out here. The numbers are growing, so it's definitely a team that we're building, leveraging that experience. But there's also a lot of people as part of our company. Being a company that's over 5 years old now, we have people that have been dealing in this space for over 5 years, and they also bring a tremendous amount of experience, whether an Amazonian or not. They understand the Amazon marketplace better than most.
But yeah, I would imagine. But Feedbug is only connected to Amazon, no other marketplace.
At the moment, yes. At the moment, we focus on Amazon, given its size within the e-commerce space. But in the not too far future, we will be expanding to other marketplaces.
Right, so it wouldn't work. Somebody asked me today for a repricer that works for Jet or eBay. That wouldn't
Yeah.
be you.
So I really try to only sell what we can do now because I don't want to mislead you in any way. And of course, I would say right now we can only service your Amazon needs. But those other platforms, amongst others, are not too far in the future.
Right. I mean, it makes more sense for Amazon because Amazon has that concept of one ASIN and everybody listing against that ASIN. eBay, they try to do it with the UPC, but they don't. Every listing is separate. It'll be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, exactly. There's aspects of the Amazon ecosystem and the state of the marketplace which lend itself very well. Speaking about the Amazon marketplace here, lend itself very well to the type of algorithmic, systematic, scalable decision making that Feedvisor is really focusing on.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, explain to me exactly what that means having a repricer based on algorithms as opposed to because I noticed repricers, there are a lot of them, and Feedvisor, it seems more like of a higher end repricer. You deal with higher end sellers. So exactly what does that mean? What does
Okay, that's a fair question. So before I answer that, I'll say what some of the others are without naming anyone, of course. I would say, yeah, of course, you could start by doing manual pricing. And that's the most original form, but it's the most elementary form, to be honest. Still, people do it, but the reality is there's opportunities that are missed. But in essence, you are thinking what the price should be, and you're coding the price based on what you think should drive the price, whether it's demand, whether it's your objective of profit margin, whatever it may be. you're putting the price. Moving, one step the spectrum towards being a bit more advanced and technical is rules based. That's what some would say is a closer competitor to ours, but is not yet an algorithm. But a rules base is where you or a user code what rules you want to apply. But they're generally very simple because there's only so many factors you could take into consideration. I think one of the most common examples is be 5% cheaper than the next available item. But the reality is, as we've seen in the marketplace, that can lead to certain developments in the business that are not very favorable. So if I'm 5% cheaper than you, well, you don't want to miss out, so you become 5% cheaper than me. My rule says then I need to be 5% cheaper than you. In short, it's very much of a logic that is a follower rather than a leader. And the reality is, if you are a follower rather than a leader, you'll be missing out on the marketplace, on the buy box, or whether it's selling your private label item, whatever it may be. Generally we know that leaders help develop the business and help drive business, not followers. And if you're following with price all the time, that's only going to lead to one place, and that's very low price, no more profit margin, and not a healthy business for anyone.
I'm sure I can put a floor on it, even in a rule base.
Well, of course, you could
Right.
put a floor, but then you're not competitive in any case.
Right.
So then you're not in the market
Right.
anymore.
Okay.
An algorithm, what we consider ourselves an algorithm, is it's much more dynamic. We base it on the over 5 years of data that we have, as we've been around for over 5 years. We draw from the Amazon API. We're getting data. We're understanding what's going on in the marketplace on a SKU by SKU level. And we're really making informed decisions, not just looking at a competitor's price, but really looking at many of the other variables that matter in terms of selling your products online. The variables matter a bit differently, whether it's a competitive product or an exclusive or private label product. But in short, there's many different things that go into why does a customer buy an item and what price gets them to buy that item. And our algorithms are working to understand what price can we put on the market to reflect the competitiveness of the seller. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to give the best price that reflects the competitiveness of the seller, that will get them the sale, that will get them the buy box, but ultimately do so at the price that's also best for them. And the results show that you can hold sales, you can even frankly increase sales, and we do that very often, and actually even increase your profit margin. It's not a game where you just have to be the cheapest, and we also know you don't want to be the most expensive. You want to play in the middle, and you want to be dynamic and adjusting, and that's what an algorithm does. It adjusts, it learns what's going on in the marketplace, it learns who you are as a seller, and it reflects that in the market. It's three-dimensional as opposed to one-dimensional.
Right, and all this is done by Feedvisor. I'm not giving too much information to the algorithm. You guys have the secret sauce or whatever, and you guys figure out what works best for me. Is that how it goes?
Exactly. So it's a good question. So we don't want to make it too onerous on you. You could certainly dive into the detail with us as we look at our dashboard and our business intelligence. But when it comes to how do you set up the algorithm, which can be a fearful thing, a complicated product for some, we simplify it. So in essence, you set up a floor price and you set a ceiling price. Those are the boundaries. We will not sell it for less than your floor, and we will not sell it for more than your ceiling. The algorithm will work within those boundaries to optimize to get the most sales, but also optimize to get the most profit, and it will work in between, changing prices on a very regular basis, taking into account the changing marketplace environment, and we ultimately put the best price forward for you.
And it's hands off. So once I put in the information, I'm done. I don't got to.
Exactly, exactly. It's at the end of the day, algorithms, they're a machine, but they're coded by humans. So we want you to remember that it's a machine, but still with human controls. Okay. So you put the controls that are good for you, and then you let the algorithm work within its boundaries, but it won't violate your most important parts of your business, which are your floor and your ceiling price. And we hope it will maximize those other parts of your business, your sales, and your profit thereafter.
Right, I see. So now, why wouldn't this work for smaller sellers?
To be honest, it can work for smaller sellers. There isn't a size limit per se. I think the reality is where some people say it is or is not for them is there is a cost to it, of course, and that's often a barrier, is where it's not worth the investment. But there's no size precursor. For example, it's not like you need to sell a certain number of SKUs. You could sell 5 SKUs and still use the algorithm. because the truth is an algorithm is still arguably better at even selling one SKU than a human would be,
Right.
because they take the emotional and human decision out of it. They really apply over 5 years worth of data. They apply, they take the emotion out of it and really apply a systematic decision approach to making very important decisions. So whether you're selling one SKU or 1,000 SKUs, algorithms can be used regardless. It's not about the number of SKUs. Again, it's not about the amount of dollars you sell per month or per year. Of course, there are ramifications in terms of understanding, is it worth the investment, but there's not a limit per se. It's not like the algorithm won't work if you're selling below a certain amount. It will continue to work. It's just, is it the right business decision for you?
Hmm. Actually, so basically, the goal is for you to get the buy box, because if you get the buy box, you can sell it.
Of course, but that is a goal, but I think that's a one-dimensional goal. The real goal is getting the buy box in the way that is the best and healthiest for your business. The truth is, I could, if I procured or got an item for $10, I could sell that item for $10 and probably get the buy box. I could probably even sell it for $9 or $8 and also get the buy box. But the reality is, you're either making no money or even losing money. It's not just about getting the buy box. It's about getting the buy box in the most business optimal way, and that's what we're really trying to achieve.
I see. Right. So now you have a similar product for private label repricing. Now, we have a group, and a few months ago, I asked, can I get a repricer for a private label item? And everyone started laughing
Hmm,
because if I'm the only one selling, why do I need a reprice? And I explained to them because sometimes I go too high, and Amazon takes away the buy box, so
sure.
people don't buy it. So is that what the goal is for private label repricing, to go as high as I can by still getting the buy box?
Well, I think there's two parts of our product, as you mentioned before. So there's like multiple aspects, but when it comes to repricing, there's two tranches that we go from. We have a strategy that's suited for buy box optimization,
Mhm.
as you alluded to before, and that's for your competitive products when you have the same ASIN, but obviously different retailers competing to sell that. That is a product that we first started with and is heavily used. As the market has developed and more people have moved to private label, we have adapted to support them, and we have a few strategies that are not exclusively for private label, but that are very well used by our label base. And those are strategies that are focused on really understanding what price do you set for a unique item, because that's what a private label item is. It's unique, or where you're the exclusive seller. An example may be is take mobile phones, smartphones. Some people who love Apple would say nothing is a competitor to Apple. Some people would say Samsung is, or whatever, or
Right.
OnePlus One, or whatever it may be. The truth is, you don't always know. So you need to set up a unique demand curve on each item. Our algorithm works to understand what is the demand curve for that item, and more importantly, given that it's an algorithm and it's dynamic, how is that demand curve changing over time? And our algorithm is working to then set prices along that demand curve that are set to certain targets. So, as an example, there are two core strategies: repricing by velocity. You set how many items you want to sell per day, and then the algorithm will work to set a price that will, with the intention of achieving that target of selling that velocity per day. Similarly, you can also set targets of a liquidation date or a target out of stock date. You set the date in the calendar when you want to run out of stock of that item. That's very effective for liquidation, as well as managing your inventory levels along with your procurement cycles. And essentially set that date, and the algorithm will work to set prices to sell periodically every day up until that point in time. But essentially, the private label strategies are really taking the guesswork out of pricing your unique products, saving time, because as you mentioned, it could be quite costly in time, but also the thought to think, what am I doing here? And also providing various levels of inventory control.
Hmm. I see. And what's the okay? So that's the second one. What exactly is revenue intelligence, if you have in your website?
So revenue intelligence is another name for it is business intelligence, and that's really giving you insight into your business. And it's through a dashboard. It's a web-based tool. You log into it as much as you like. It has various capabilities, but in short, it's really giving you insight into your business. You can really see the things that you're doing well, and you could see the things that you're doing not so well and adjust. Again, you probably want to replicate the things that you're doing well and somehow adapt and change the things that you're not doing well. But this tool is really giving you the analytics and the insight to know what to do. It's very data oriented. There's large tables, but also very visual. So depending on who you are, you can use it in different ways. You can manage the tool through the website itself, through the dashboard, or you can also draw data from it, export it into Excel, and use the data in that way. But in short, it's a way to really get smart about your business. It goes to the point I mentioned earlier. In this age of big data, that buzzword of big data, the truth is those are just buzzwords. Without the tools, the mechanisms, the solution, and the platform to bring that data together and adapt it and shape it into actionable intelligence, it is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our revenue intelligence and our dashboard is about. Along with our algorithms, it's shaping that data into actionable intelligence for you to make more informed decisions about your business.
It's like a reporting tool on profitability.
It covers, well, first of all, you can cover the main economic indicators, your sales, your profit margin, your ordered items, but also you could dive into other aspects of your business. Where do you not have enough inventory? Where do you have too much inventory? Where are you potentially leaving money on the table because items are hitting your ceiling price? A range of other aspects of your business. You could also dive into our reports that show your replenishment reports, and you can really understand when do you need to replenish based on changing and trending velocities of your product. For example, speaking with a seller earlier today, they carry winter items. So the velocity, the amount that they sell now coming out of winters, not so much. But as that velocity increases going into winter, that will change their needs to replenish because they're selling more and more.
Right.
This dashboard, this revenue intelligence solution can help bring that information to light.
Wow.
And create actionable items that you need to do on the back of it.
Wow, this is incredible because I think people just hear repricer and they say, "Wow, like they're giving one price and
Yeah.
it's so."
It,
I
it's,
didn't know there's so much involved.
it's, it's really so much more. I mean, we're a technology company. As I mentioned, we are a big data company. We're a technology company, and we're pillared on the repricing and algorithmic decision making that we do, as well as the business intelligence and revenue intelligence that we provide. But it also, it's really urgent to mention that that's all bundled together by a customer success team. So these are people that continue to work with you once you come on board with us. They align with what your objectives are. They want to understand what's important for your business. Are you focused on generating market share and revenue, or do you really want to protect your profit margin? They will work with you to ensure that you're getting the most out of the solution and can understand that and get the most out of the product.
And how long does it take for onboarding? Like, if I'm doing this for a month or so, how long does it?
Sure. I mean, onboarding is very simple. So we are a SaaS solution. So it's not even like a cumbersome download. It's a link through the internet. You come on board. We send you a few links, and you really come on board, and we start drawing data right away. And we draw your past 2 weeks of Amazon data, and from then on, the story continues, and we just get more and more data and really understand what's going on with your business. A way that most customers come on board with us is through what's called a proof of concept. And that's essentially a 3-month extensive period where you almost come on board with us as a full-time client, but you really have 3 months for us to prove to us our return on investment, our value to you as a business, and also 3 months for you to ask us all the questions you can about what's going on with my business and what do our experts, our customer success managers, see there. As a way of doing that, and this is something that we're here to offer your group, where we offer what's called a 2+1. And that's an engagement where 2 months and 1 month. You pay for 2 months of the base fee, and we give you 3 months of service. 2 months of base fee, 1 month free. All in all, 3 months of service for us, again, to really demonstrate the value of our product, a good positive return on investment or ROI, and a chance for you to work with our team and really leverage our know-how and excellence.
Right. Okay, so that's good. So you'll email me the exact details.
Of course, yeah.
I'll put in the notes at a video. But let me just add, this works for all Amazons, right? UK, Canada, all of them, right?
Yeah, it works for all the Amazon stores. That's right.
And it's just one fee, and it just linked to all the different Amazons.
Exactly. And on the dashboard, you can move between the different stores. You'll see, we could give you a demo another time, but in the top right, Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.fr, you can navigate between them seamlessly.
Okay, I mean, do you sell on Amazon, by the way?
I'm working on it. Yeah, it's my family's looking into it, so I'm looking to help them do so.
Right, because I was gonna ask if you ever got suspended. I asked that to everybody.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so Julian, I think you did a fantastic job, and it was a pleasure speaking to you. And we'll keep in touch. And thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.
Great. Hope to see you soon. Take care.
Be well. Thank you.
Be
Bye.
well.